Paranormal Nightshift. The Lighthouse viewer discretion advised.
Welcome to Paranormal Nightshift, your home for all things that go bump in the dark and your fan stories told here. So in my 30 years, I've encountered numerous paranormal activities. My mom is what they would call a lighthouse, or a beacon, which draws ghosts or energies to her for one neat reason or another. Ever since I was little, I've been told that I had some sort of dark attachment, dark energy attached to me. I used to have these really horrible, vivid dreams. Most of the time they weren't good ones, but most of the time they all came true. I was in my early 20s. I worked at an assisted living facility. Most of our residents were bedridden and couldn't do much of anything on their own. I normally worked day shift, but we had a girl quit, so that meant I had to work night shift. I needed money, and extra hours are always good. It's relatively early in my shift, 8:30, 9 o'clock. I'm doing my last rounds in medical, giving out prescriptions, water, changing soiled linens and things like that so that everybody could wind down for the night. And what I heard still makes my skin crawl to this day. A blood-curdling scream, like something you would hear out of a horror movie. Thought it was just me, all in my head. But the resident that I was in there with gave me a look and said, "You heard that too?" "Yeah, I'm gonna go check it out." He grabbed my hand and said, "Please don't leave. I'm afraid. I'm afraid for you. If something's happening, I have to go out there. I have to see what's wrong. It's my job to keep you safe." Again, squeezing tightly onto my hand. "Please don't go. I'm afraid. I promise it'll be okay. Give me 1 minute." We heard the scream again, echoing throughout the halls. I stuck my head out the door to see that the hallway was empty. There was nothing out there at all. All the patients' doors were still closed. Everything was fine. I started walking down the hallway, and I was suddenly hit with this cold burst of air. It pushed me back into the patient's room, and it slammed the door closed behind me. "Are you okay? Do you need help?" I laid on the floor, struggling. I couldn't breathe. It felt like ice water was now running through my veins. I started choking and grabbing at my throat. I felt something pinning me down, clawing away at me, taking the life out of my body, and I was helpless. I couldn't do anything. It was like I was paralyzed. The old man just sat there, watched me suffer. He was trying everything he could to get me help, but there was no response. Everything in the room just felt so cold. The energy was so dark. It was sitting there. It was taking my energy away from me. It was sucking my soul from my body. I was paralyzed. I watched as this elderly man forced himself out of bed, began to claw at the door himself, banging on the door, screaming for help, all as I'm sitting there choking. I feel like something is taking my soul away from me. The old man is banging on the door with every bit of energy that he possibly can, trying to help me, trying to call for help, but it was helpless. Nothing was happening. I just laid there. I knew I was about to black out. I knew that I could see myself leaving my body. The old man began to pray. "In the name of the Father and the Son, the Holy Ghost and the Holy Trinity, I command you to leave this woman be." Doing his best, "Our Fathers who art in heaven," screaming and invoking Jesus' name, saying everything he could, any religious icon, any religious relic he had. He was doing everything he could spiritually to save me. He got down on his knees trying to help me, but every time he tried to help, it was like he was forced away, like there was some sort of force field preventing him from putting his hands on me. I don't remember much after that. I had blacked out, passed out from not being able to breathe. I woke to an hour later. The old man was laying on top of me, covering me and praying. What happened? "It's been an hour, sweetheart. It's still here. It's still going after you." I could speak, but I couldn't move. I felt paralyzed still. The old man said that I had blacked out and that he commanded whatever was coming to attack me to take him instead, to go after him instead. I didn't believe him, but I worked my way off of the floor, and the old man's back, it looked like somebody had taken a razor blade, nail marks all up and down his spine. Whatever it was had physically started to assault him. The door was still locked. We had been on the floor for over an hour. He had been protecting me for over an hour. I finally felt like I had the strength to try to get up, but now the old man, he was so physically beaten. As I got to my feet and helped the old man up to his feet, the attack happened again. Both of us were now being thrown across the room, choked. I could watch as the old man's vocal cords and his throat was just being strangled. I could feel cold and icy presence in the room continually to assault both of us. It went on this way all night. If it wasn't one of us being attacked, it was the other, and the door continued to stay locked. No one could hear us. No calls were being answered. Everything that we hit, everything that we tried to do to get help, nothing was happening. It went on that way all night, one of us trying to protect and pray over the other while the other were being attacked. It stayed that way. We watched the clock all night. For 8 hours, a continuous assault, a spiritual warfare happening in that room. Finally, sunlight started to peek through the curtains, and all of a sudden, it stopped. The room felt normal again. The attacks had stopped. A night of spiritual warfare, of us being thrown around, beaten, physically assaulted, was now over. I heard the latch on the door come undone. We could open the door again. I fell upon the door handle. Did everything I could to open the door. I opened the door and crawled our way out into the hallway. As I'm crawling my way down the hallway, the charge nurse sitting at the nurse's station looks at me and goes, "What are you doing on the ground? It's time for rounds. You need to get medication. Get the meds together. What are you doing?" I was shaken and looked behind me. There he was, the old man, asleep in his bed. I look at the clock on the wall. 9:30 p.m. What had happened? What was going on? You went in there to do rounds, and now you're laying on the floor. Are you okay? Did none of it happen? Was it all just a vision? What was going on? I had the scars. The old man, he had the scars. But he remembered nothing. He remembered none of it. I tried to speak with him several times, and the story didn't do anything but get him upset. None of that ever happened, according to him. Nothing had happened. He had fallen out of bed and hurt his back. That's how he got the scars. The records indicated the same thing. The day prior, he had fallen out of bed and hurt his back, but I know what happened to me. I had scars. I couldn't explain any of it to anybody, and nobody believed me. I shortly quit after that. I don't know what I experienced, but I felt like I brought a presence, like I was a beacon, like I was the lighthouse to the bad things that were going to happen there if I stayed.